Welcome back. All right, we have entered the dog days of summer. It is early July here in the upper Midwest, and it is hot. Thankfully, we've been getting a decent amount of rain. Um, but how do we keep our grass looking good during these hot, sometimes dry times without overwatering, using too much grass? We all want to protect our natural resources and use them responsibly. So I'm going to show you how to do that and to keep your grass looking good without overwatering. Um, one way to do this is we could do nothing, just let our grass go dormant. The problem with that is it never comes back the same as what it went. So you're not going to get 100% of your grass to come back after it goes dormant. And then weeds come in, and then we have to start using chemicals to kill those weeds, things like that. To me, the best thing to do is to keep our grass healthy and thick, keep those weeds blocked out, and then we prevent use of chemicals. I myself would rather use a little bit of water than use chemicals. So I still use some of those, but very sparingly. Um, I spot spray for weeds, and by keeping things healthy and thick throughout the summer, I really do have minimal weed pressure. So I'm going to show you um, how to water our lawn and to prevent it from going dormant. So the first thing we want to do is we need a plan. So we need to set a guideline of how much water do I think my lawn needs. I recommend, if you are in the upper Midwest, to start with 1 inch per week. Um, and then that way you can see how things go. And if it's still getting dry, you can bump that up to 1.5 inches perhaps, or even 2 inches if you have real sandy soil, full sun, things like that. So I'm going to show you what that means, 1 inch per week of rain. So let's talk about that first. Okay, what I have here is a schedule of days. So up top here, I've got 1 through 7, 8 through 14. So I've got basically 2 weeks of tracking here. You could do this on a calendar or a journal, whatever you want. But at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a trick, a very easy way to keep track of this without doing any of the math. But we're going to go through this first to show you what's actually happening. So we'll lay out a scenario here of a week's worth of rain first. So I'm going to do rain in green, and say on the first we got 1/10 of an inch. Say on the fourth we got 0.4 inches, and maybe day 7 we got 1/2 inch. So what we need to do when we say our target is 1 inch in 7 days, let's take our 7-day block here and add this up. So we've got 1/2 inch, 9/10, 1 inch. So we do not need to water in these 7 days. So let's go now. We'll say today is the 8th day, and we need to drop off the first. So now we need to take day 2 through 8, and you can see there we're at 0.9. So we're at 1/10 of an inch deficit on the 8th. So I wouldn't recommend watering 0.1 on the 8th. You can look at the weather. Is there supposed to be rain in 9/10? Is there any chance? But maybe wait until the 10th. Say we got no more rain. And now we have to drop off a few more days. So in this scenario, if we take day 3 through 10, it doesn't matter much because we still have 9/10. So we're at 1/10 of a deficit. But now we go to day 11. Now it's 5 through 11. We drop off the 0.4, and we've got 1/2 inch. So what I would recommend doing on the 11th, if we still haven't gotten any rain, let's water 1/2 inch. So when I water, I try to, the old saying is water less frequently and deeper. So I like to water a minimum of 1/2 inch at a time. And so if we take a look back in the last 7 days, we have 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch on the 7th. So we are right at our target of 1 inch. So this is the actual math on how that does. You do your day, and the previous 6 days, and you add up the amount of rainfall and watering you've had to try to meet that 1 inch target. One of the best ways to keep track of your rainfall here is a rain gauge. You don't need anything fancy, um, but just check this every day. Obviously, you know if it rains most of the time, and record how much rain you got down to 1/10 of an inch is fine. So again, recommend a long journal or a calendar of some sort. Just jot down the rainfall you got for each day. But remember, at the end, I'm going to show you a cheat where you don't necessarily need any of this. However, this is the most accurate way to track rainfall at your particular location. Obviously, we all know we've got storms. Somebody 3 blocks away says, "Oh, I got 3 inches in that storm," and you're like, "Well, I only got half an inch." So um, to be the most accurate, you can do this, but there is a way to make this whole thing a lot easier. Okay, the next thing we have to do is keep track of our watering. And so we want to know every time we water how much water we're putting down so we can record it. Now, the easiest way to do that is to know how much water your sprinkler is putting down over time and then tracking the time. So, um, how to set that baseline for your sprinkler. Basically, you want to know how long it takes to put down a 1/2 inch of water. So what I did here with this simple oscillating sprinkler is put a bucket there and time my sprinkling and have it on for a good amount of time, say an hour. Turn the water off and measure the amount of water in your bucket, and then you can calculate how quickly your sprinkler puts on water. So the best way I found to do that is use my Apple Watch here. Just start every time I put the sprinkler on, I start a new one. And then if I'm doing a large area, I can move it and restart it. Eventually, I'd like to have an in-ground so I don't have to do this. But if you've got an in-ground, basically all you need to know is each zone, how long it takes to put on a 1/2 inch of water. Okay, here's the bucket of water I collected. I just got done watering with that oscillating sprinkler for an hour and 20 minutes. So we will see, we just have over an inch, inch and a quarter. So I'm gonna err on the side of putting a little bit more water on and divide that by 2 and say I put a 1/2 inch of water on with that sprinkler every 60 minutes or every hour. So now we know if we time our sprinkling for 60 minutes, we're gonna get a 1/2 inch of water in that area. All right, we just went over how to keep track of our rainfall and watering, how we measure our rainfall, how we measure our watering to know how much water we've put on. Now you can take this, throw it away, and I'm going to show you the cheat at how to do this all much simpler. So what I recommend doing is downloading the My Lawn app by Scotts. What this will do, it will recommend a target watering rate for your zip code. So for mine, it is 1 inch per week, per 7 days in the upper Midwest region I'm at. The next thing it will do is by putting in your zip code, it will monitor how much rainfall you've received. So you don't even have to look at your rain gauge. I have used this for 3 months now and monitored my personal rain gauge with the data that this app is providing, and it's quite close. One of the closest I've seen. I've gone to weather websites in the past, and it is amazing how difficult it is to get rainfall totals for your area. Wherever they're pulling this data from, it works pretty well. This is absolutely free. You don't even need to use their products. I use their products occasionally. Scotts makes good things, but this app by far is the best thing I've seen them make, and it's free. And then it gives you this little graph here, and you can see I am currently at a deficit of 0.45 inches. So within the next day or so, I'm going to need to water. So it shows the total rainfall for the last 7 days has been 0.55 inch. My goal is 1 inch, so I'm at a deficit. Then the other cool thing we can do here is we press on this little button. It says water, and we put on how much we've watered. So I had 1 inch today. I did on that sprinkler. And so I can go to 1 inch, say done. It will update our tracking to we are no longer at a deficit. We're actually, ½ inch above. So it'll say no water needed. I highly recommend this app. It's very cool. Like I said, you can, measure your own rainfall in your gauge if you want and maybe try to correct it in here, but I just go with what it says. And if anything, it seems like it's a little shy on rainfall, so you're defaulting to putting a bit more water on your lawn than if it were perfectly accurate. But I hope you learned something. Again, we are using a natural resource here. I agree, we don't want to waste it. However, to me, it's a balance of, do we not water and have to use more chemical in the environment? I believe it's much better to use a little bit extra water and prevent that chemical usage. So we're using a natural, doesn't get more natural than water, right? So that's what I like to do. Good luck with your watering this summer, and I hope your turf grass stays well. Adios.